city too cold, gotta keep me a heater. Ed watching my back, cause snakes moving deeper. Came from the bottom, was serving the people. Now it's big money, got lawyers and leases. Street stories NYC, where the bosses be. Where the youngest turn killers for they 17. Saw a lot of dreams getting lost in the cold of the street. Make a milli, but you still gotta watch where you eat.
Ooh, no mercy here.
Nah.
North City, take your soul, leave you cold out here. Your loyalty don't come for free. So welcome to Street Stories NYC.
Introducing the book, Handbags. Our first story is Lindsay. Lindsay was a very shifty person. She had caviar taste and Frankfurter pockets. She always tried to talk about popular things, and her social media page was filled with ads about expensive products. Lindsay was the knockoff queen, though. She would buy any type of bags, shoes, jewelry, and such that looked as close as possible to the name brand products. Most of her friends and associates knew that they were knockoffs, but most of them would play along with her. Lindsay would go out to clubs with her girlfriends, and she would only mingle with the guys that looked like they had money. One night she met a guy that turned out to be just like her. He had on jewelry that was so close to the real thing that only a jeweler could tell that they weren't real. When she finally realized that he was wearing knockoffs and the car he was driving was his dad's car, she dropped him like a hot potato. Lindsay loved to party, and she would try to find her way to getting invites to different events and after parties. She loved to rub shoulders with the rich and famous, and she would put on her masquerade face at each affair. She would have on every type of apparel that looked like the real name brands. She would notice people checking her out, and she would smile to herself. Lindsay figured if she could just get lucky and meet a rich guy that she could bear. She didn't want an old geezer that would slobber all over her, and she didn't want a young, cocky rapper that would probably be screwing everybody. Lindsay was almost 40, and she looked like she was still in her late 20s. She figured that if she was going to catch a guy, it was now or never. She managed to come up with enough money to buy a beautiful gown so that she could attend a few of the fundraisers that were coming up in New York City. She thought if she was ever going to catch a rich guy, that would be the place to do it. Her body was quite voluptuous, and the gown revealed her full breasts. She was sure to turn heads at any affair. Lindsay picked out her favorite knockoff bag to wear with her gown. It was a sleek and black with fake pearls and diamonds with the designer initials on it. It was hard to tell that it wasn't the real thing. She knew that this was going to be her season. Lindsay lived in the projects in Bedford, Stuyvesant, in Brooklyn. And although she was a fake and a snob, she had lots of friends. Sometimes she would throw parties just for some of the folks in her group of buildings to reciprocate for going to their parties and getting high on whatever they had. She would always make sure that if she gave a verbal or a written invite, it would have BYOBB, bring your own brown bag, so that there would be plenty of get high to go around. Sometimes people just needed a place to get high because their relatives might live with them, and they couldn't do it inside of their own apartment, so they would welcome the parties in the building. There was a great variety of get-high ranging from weed to pills to heroin and cocaine. As long as there was no drama and anything to attract the NYPD to the apartment, the parties usually went well. One party in the building ended up in multiple arrests, and the undercover policemen were watching the building for a long time after that incident. Lindsay got out just before the apartment got raided, and she was so glad that she didn't have to go through that kind of embarrassment. From that point on, you couldn't come to any parties in the building unless you were well known and knew the password for the party, which was only given out hours before the party started. If anyone leaked the password, it would be pretty simple to find out who squealed, because each person had their own password, depending upon what floor they were on and what their name was. If someone came to the door with the wrong password, the door wouldn't be opened until everything was disposed of, and depending on which password was used, they would know who squealed to the NYPD. Lindsay finally found out which event she was going to go to in Manhattan. There was a huge fundraiser the following weekend with international investors attending. Lindsay planned on attending the event. She went online, and after a little finagling, she was able to get her name on the guest list. She went down to Chinatown to see what other knockoff products that she could get cheap that would make her look classier. She came home with a ring and some earrings that looked like real diamonds. The night of the event, Lindsay got her hair done, and her friend helped her with her eyelashes and her makeup. She even had some knockoff perfume that was pretty close to a very popular women's perfume. When Lindsay walked in the door, most of the men's heads turned. She looked so beautifully statuesque, and the curves on her body demanded attention. It wasn't long before men were offering to get drinks for her and sparking up conversations. Even the married men. Lindsay wanted no part of them. She didn't want to be anybody's chick on the side. Lindsay mingled with the crowd until her eye came across it. There, under this woman's arm, was the exact same bag that she was carrying. Only she could tell that hers was the real thing. It had to be a $5,000 bag. Lindsay couldn't take her eyes off of it, and she had never felt such a strong urge to steal something in her life, but she felt overwhelmed by the need to have that bag. Lindsay waited and watched until the woman went into the ladies' room, and she followed her in. Lindsay got right next to her, and without thinking, she dropped her lipstick on the floor. The woman went to pick up the lipstick for Lindsay, and Lindsay switched bags with the woman. It wasn't until she got outside that she realized that she left her ID and miscellaneous things in the bag. Lindsay figured that even if the woman found out and called about the bag, Lindsay would say that she must have picked up the woman's bag by mistake, and unfortunately, someone stole it the same night on her way home. Lindsay got home, and she was so excited to be able to really look over her new bag. She opened it up, and to her surprise, there was a big block of cocaine in it. Lindsay opened the foil that it was in and smelled it and tasted a little of it, and she could tell that it was high-quality cocaine. Lindsay decided that she was going to throw a party. Meantime, back at the party, federal agents approached the woman with Lindsay's bag and took her outside of the event. They got outside, and she was shaking like a leaf when they asked to see her bag. They had been following her for a while, and they suspected that she was carrying drugs for a Colombian drug dealer in New York. She reluctantly handed over the bag, and she was shocked when they opened it and asked, "Is your name Lindsay?" The woman tried to compose herself, and when she looked inside of the bag, she couldn't believe it. After the feds let her go, 2 Colombian men pulled up in a car, and she got in. She tried to explain that the woman in the bathroom must have taken her bag with the cocaine in it. They looked at Lindsay's ID and her address, and they told the woman that they understood, and then they broke her neck and dropped her body on the street. The next night, Lindsay's party was going great. People were coming in, and they were loving the amazing cocaine that Lindsay had. She felt like she was a star, and they all wanted to know where she got the cocaine. A few minutes later, there was a knock at the door. Lindsay peeked out, and there were 3 large Latino men at the door. Lindsay asked, "What's the password?" And one of the men showed a badge. "1 minute, please," said Lindsay frantically. Everyone grabbed a chair and sprayed air freshener, and Lindsay reluctantly opened the door. "Yes, what is it, officers?" asked Lindsay. "Is this your handbag?" asked the man holding up Lindsay's bag. "Oh, you found it. I thought I left it on the train or something," said Lindsay. The 3 men came inside and closed the door. "We're not going to play games with you. We just want the other bag back and what was inside, and there won't be any trouble," said one of the men, with a stern look on his face. "Okay, I'm not going to try to mess with you guys. I know now that you're not cops, and I didn't know what was in the bag. Now we used up about half of the block of cocaine, but I will give you back the rest and the bag," said Lindsay. Everyone in the room got as quiet as church mice, and they realized that these were dangerous men. Lindsay went and got the bag and the foil with the leftover cocaine in it, and she handed to the man. "I'm so sorry," said Lindsay. Then the man that took the bag pulled out a revolver and said, "You really took the wrong bag." And he shot her once in the forehead.
Ooh, no mercy here.
Nah.
North City, take your soul, leave you cold out here. Your loyalty don't come for free. NYC.
Get the raw full 45 set collection. Available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and of course, StreetStoriesNYC.com.